Zane, Griggs, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
I'm excited. Yeah. I admittedly always do my research before I talk to my guests, so I know a thing or two about you.
Okay.
And where I'd love to go with this journey is that you've clearly found success in the fitness industry as a trainer, as a coach, working with, I'm sure, a ton of clients. And we'll eventually get to that journey of how you've built success in this business. But where I want to start, actually, is I'm curious if you have any entrepreneurship in your family. I know you originally grew up in California, if I remember correctly. And I'm curious if there's any of that in your roots, I would say.
Not really. The closest thing to it would have been my dad. He had a credit union job, managed his whole life, but he bought an almond orchard. It was like the weekend gig because we're in the Central Valley, so everything grows. We're growing almonds, and it was like 40 acres, so not enough to do anything with, but just enough to keep him busy on the weekends, which also kept me busy on the weekends. So I was working on that from the time I was 6 years old until college, and we sold it. And so it was just weekends, summers, and I'm not like, why are we doing this? And of course, at first, it's like, okay, so we own it, we sell it, and so understanding that was kind of a viewpoint of it. But honestly, I think I started doing my own thing. It's kind of funny, I'm in fitness, but at like middle school, there were these guys selling candy, like now and later or something like that around the school. I'm like, for a quarter, I'm like, I know where I can get those for a dime. So I would go buy a bunch of dollars for a dime, and then I'd go sell them for 20 cents, so undercut them by a nickel, and I'm still doubling my money. And then the principal finally kind of just like, hey, that's probably not a good. But I mean, it was just, that was probably my first entrepreneurial venture. And then it was like when we sold the orchard, the guy just wanted the land, so I just started cutting up wood for firewood, sort of selling truckloads of firewood from it until the guy who took over the land finally took possession of it. I just was in college cutting. A chainsaw out there, and in between, college, I just started cutting firewood and delivering.
I would say it's a common trend of honestly a lot of people in the show is they have like an early, almost like sales hustle, like whether it's like selling PlayStations or cards or lemonade or whatever the case might be. Did your siblings they didn't get into that as well, or is it just you, or was it just like you just had an itch to do your own thing? Or where do you
I always had an itch to do my thing. When I have been employed, when I was W-2, sure. I immediately first day looking for the exits, like an exit strategy. In other words, like how long do I have to be here? What do I have to do to get back to doing what I want to do more often? And so my wife and I are both very wired that way, where we just want to be, even if we would turn down a job that paid us more to own our own gig where we knew the ceiling wasn't built in by somebody else. You know what I mean? And if that means we have to pivot or change the model or whatever it is, but it's like there's just a desire there, and we've kept it going and encourage each other to be self-employed. Totally. Even when I've had side gigs, but I mean, that's what you had to do. You're raising a family and stuff. Sometimes you need the stable thing, but you're always working on your own thing.
What were some of the stumbling blocks until you finally made your way to the fitness industry then? Were there other endeavors that you went after that maybe just didn't pan out like you thought it would?
Oh, sure. I got into fitness when I was 28, so pretty early. Before that, I was just like modeling, kind of traveling around. That's kind of you have agents and stuff, but you're kind of on your own. Like nobody's guaranteeing you a check. And I was, I kind of, 21, 22, kind of went to LA, then went to Europe and doing the Miami back and forth thing for a few years. And that kind of opened my eyes up to people doing things differently than how I grew up in my little town in Central California. And it gave me a little bug to have some freedom. But I also noticed that's when I started, every time I ran into a trainer, I was asking him 20 questions. So I was like, just like, picking the brain. And like, maybe I need to do this. And so that was like my clue. Like, it always been my longevity is kind of a passion in my 20s for some reason. And that was my move into the health space, was like, I could do training. I was lifting in college. I was pretty good, I had a good response. So, and it was interesting to me. So I started working at training and trying to pick up clients, but you kind of first you have to work at a gym, right? So you start working at the gym, so you're around the clients. And I've done other things on the side from delivering furniture. I had real estate for a while, sold real estate while building a training business. And there were several times when I questioned, like, do I really want to keep stay in this field? I like it, I enjoy it, but it's not, especially like say in the 2000s before we had much internet, it was really hard to scale.
Totally.
Like almost impossible to scale unless you want to start taking on people, employees, or have a space, that was like for multiple trainers to come in, something like that. So scalability almost scared me out of the industry altogether. Thank goodness for social media and the internet. I'm one of the few people saying that right now, I think, but I just like, I mean, that's how we continue to learn and connect and build community, right?
Yeah. I think I think the lack of lucrativeness, I guess you could say, is a common thing of what kind of scares people out of the fitness industry.
Oh yeah. I saw a lot of them do it.
Yeah. I mean, because you get into it because you're passionate about it, and then you get into it and you're like, man, especially with a family, it's like, how do I actually make money doing something like this?
Right.
And so obviously we'll get to that journey of like how you've been able to figure out how to do this for the last 20 plus years.
Well, I mean, side hustles, sometimes side gigs, and then making relationships with the right people, and then eventually, like I know there's a lot, now it's kind of a big deal, one-to-many memberships or group counts, that kind of thing. And I'm kind of been one-on-one for so long. It's easier for me to do one-on-one either in person or remotely. I like getting under the hood and tinkering the individuality of the nuance. That's where I'm better. That's where
Do you have any team members, or is it just you?
I hire out, like not in fitness. Like I have a guy helping me with video. I have a guy now helping me with some funnel stuff. I have a VA that helps me with some, and a podcast producer. But nobody's like an employee. They're all independent contractors who I pay for that. But
was that a conscious choice to never bring on any other employees and to stay more like the independent trainer?
I think, I mean, at some point, if I really feel like I need to bring on another coach, but to train them, it's kind of hard to take this and put it in someone else's head and then not wander off with it. But
but if you did do that, you could potentially make more money. Yes, no?
Correct. I think there's a little bit in me that's probably a flaw that I still think, well, wait a minute, I figured this out. I'm still tinkering. I feel like now I'm at a point where it's like I know I can get under the hood and of just about anybody, or at least my avatar, my target, and improve their performance, with career, everything else. And I just need to, instead of scaling with employees, I'm just going to raise my price, keep raising my price, and be a little more niche in that. And that's where I'm. That's the direction I'm going.
And it's ideally right now men over 50, high performer type person, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have clients that are in their 40s, but yeah, someone who's like,
was it always that though? Was it always that, or did you have a different demographic prior to that?
No. Starting out, I was like weight loss, was the big thing, and I mean, you're just learning, so you kind of like, because I mean, it doesn't matter what your education was until you start working with people, you don't know anything. Totally. Because every person's a little different. There's always nuance, and you learn how to deal with that. The how to adjust around whatever someone's issue is. So early on it was mostly like female, a lot of moms, some, and then moving into a little more like 50-50 with career people, and then I got connected with a great concierge medical doc who had been in the weight loss space prior to concierge medicine. And made a good connection, trained him, started connecting with some of his clients. So that kind of opened some doors to a more like entrepreneurial or like corporate kind of some celebrity clients. And a lot of the corporate guys and entrepreneurs, they want to keep performing at a high level throughout, 50, 60. So they don't want to have to let off the gas because that's what they live for, right? Totally. That's what drives them. That's what gets them out of bed in the morning. They don't want to lose that. That's what makes them go. And so I love that. And so it's like, let's get under the hood. And a lot of some are already optimized. Some need to lose 40 pounds and then do it. But a lot of them are already into that. And they just need, it's like, okay, how do we improve? How do we fine tune? What are my blind spots? Let's start tracking sleep, get some wearables on you, start looking at, blood work. And so through working with that concierge medical doc, especially through pandemic stuff where a lot of people were shut down, that really drove it kind of online where we could start looking at more metrics like that. Let's look at your blood work, and that helped me get a better understanding of looking at things like fasting insulin and lipid profiles and hormones and the need, especially with an older clientele, hormone replacement therapy, things like that, and really understand that on a level that.
Is that a common thing for your clientele now in terms of like, we don't have to get too into the health and biology of stuff, but just curious as to from like a TRT standpoint, is that something you personally have looked into or your clients look into just because of an age
Absolutely, it's a game changer. Like the majority of my clients are on some sort of hormone replacement therapy, men and women.
Wow.
Yeah, and women love. You put a woman who that age, especially either they're perimenopausal or going into menopause, and get their testosterone up. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like the game changer. Like they're like get their life back, and then they start balancing out. If they're menopausal, then get the progesterone and estrogen dialed in at a place where it's like, okay, they feel calm and comfortable, but the testosterone's like revs them up and they're ready to go. They got their libido back. When they work out and lift, their body's responsive. They have more endurance and energy. It's amazing. And so it's really, that can be a huge game changer for someone, anyone, late 40s to on up. Keep an eye on the numbers, and then see how they feel. But I mean, and it's not about putting on muscles, not really, but it's like brain fog, just how you feel about yourself and how your outlook on life, taking on new challenges, creativity, all of those things rank higher than the what most people think of as just, you're putting on more muscles. Totally. Like that's bottom on the list compared to all the other things where like they just feel better, think better, more creative, more ready to take on challenges, career, family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're just ready to charge up, and they've got all that wisdom, experience, and circle of influence, and that they've built over the decades, and now they can really leverage it. You know what I'm saying? They can leverage all that without feeling like they're being lapped by the younger guys, right?
Yeah, I think I've learned anything about just the testosterone effect on the human body in general is just like the increase in motivation to just pursue life and be better and to make a difference, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Which is good for everybody at the end of the day. I want to circle back to maybe some of the ups and downs of being an early trainer with starting your own business, having your own business, but also having a family degree and having a family that you have to raise. Like, how did that go? Like that, I can't imagine there were some moments. Rough. Yeah, I gotta imagine there's some moments where you're like, I need to go get a corporate job or something along the lines.
Yeah, I'm not a corporate job guy. So I had side jobs. I was selling real estate, and then
this was in Nashville, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So real estate for a little while, and the crash hit. I didn't go back to that. And that's when I started kind of building relationships. I actually tried to open a studio once. Did open it. Had a partner. Didn't go well.
What happened?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. We didn't communicate as well as we should have so we had an idea that initially started. By the time we got to the point of opening it, the idea had morphed and changed away from the original idea. So it kind of just took some steps. Hey, let's do this. Let's change this. And it turned into something that was like, and I got it. It was like, what have we created? And it was ideal for my partner, was not ideal for me. Was not the original idea. I did not feel like I had a place in it anymore for what I really wanted to go and what I wanted to focus on. I mean, not that I couldn't have done it. This is not what I signed up for.
Totally.
And the little idea that started off as some way to generate some traffic became the main thing. And the thing that was the main thing really kind of got pushed to the side, and that was kind of where more of my interest was. And so,
do you think that scared you off from doing the partnership and working with team members since then?
Oh, it definitely little sensitive, hot to the touch. Yeah, totally. I'm not really in a hurry to build partners.
Yeah.
It's like it's got to be really good. But I like relationships. I like collaborations.
For sure.
But a partner,
it's like a marriage. I mean, it is at the end of the day. Like most of the people that I've interviewed that have partners, I'm like you. I don't have a lot of interest in it, only because I'm pretty naturally disagreeable, and I think that would run into some issues for me. But yeah, I know there's people that like it's a marriage and you should go into it like it's a marriage and have some very clear guidelines of like, if this doesn't work out, what happens, right? And so
true.
For sure.
Yeah, you want a contract that spells out, I don't care how well you know the person, you get it in writing, you get it on paper, you have your attorneys look at it, you make sure but I think the importance of a partnership is each knows their role and that you have complementary strengths so that you're not trying to do the other guy's job, he's not trying to do your job, but you both respect each other's, and you can have discourse and disagree, and it's not a debate, it's we're working through what we need to do to make this better for everybody, and everybody understands that, so it's not a personal, emotional kind of conflict. Totally. It's like, how do we massage this to fit serving our client, right? And where each of us has the role that we're meant to be in. That's hard to do. And I've been married for 26 years. And so it's like, I'm already married. Like, do I want to do that in business? Do I want to do that again? And it would have to be a really, really, I mean, a person where we had that, like, it was a no judgment zone when we're talking. There's truly complementary strengths. And I would feel good about seeing this person every single day.
Yeah.
Like family, because they become family.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a hard bill to fit.
Yeah, I agree. Especially depending upon your personality type. Because I actually just finished Will Smith's book called Will. I don't know if you've ever read it, but phenomenal book if anybody's ever read it. But he's basically most of his life, he's always had like team members, partners, agents, like people very close to him. But he's like the ultimate extrovert, loves people, always wants to be around people. And I'm like, I would hate that, like being around people 24/7.
Yeah. I need I'm here. I've done a lot of peopling at this conference, and I feel a real need to go back to my Airbnb. I don't even stay in hotels, stay in Airbnb, and shut the door and just be like, I just want to be alone with the lights off on the bed for like half an hour to just decompress before I have to go back out to the after party and try to people again.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not going to get a chance to do that, and so yeah, I heal, decompress, whatever, restore by myself.
Same.
Alone, but at the same time, I love the interaction. I love seeing all the people. I love coming to these conferences. I love Austin. I love coming to Austin and just the community here. I don't go to the gym anymore because I hate being around people who go to the gym. You know, so I have my equipment in my garage. I might hit a neighborhood thing here and there if I want a machine. But you know, you see something like Squatch where you have such a strong community of fitness, and it's like some of it's outdoors. You got the sauna. It's like people want to come there not because they just want to work out, but because of the people they see and talk, and it's like that I could plug into. I'm not an isolationist by any stretch, and I feel better around people, but I recover alone. And if I have to do a lot of peopling, I need the recovery time. So that might be part of it too. I'm not closed off to it. I've just done enough where there's definitely hoops to go through, and healthy boundaries, and I need a really compelling reason to do it, and I feel like I'm still fine-tuning my offering, and maybe we're always fine-tuning our offering, and that might be a flaw of mine. I'm sure I could get farther with partnerships, but I'd rather, it's like, if I find an independent contractor who's talented, and we can both stay independent of each other, and I pay them for their services, but we're not in business together, like it's a lot easier to just.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I do. I think it's a matter of like what makes you happy too, which I think is something that we often forget to consider when we talk about things about whether having a partner or not having a partner. Like the example I like to think about is the difference between, do you know who Casey Neistat is?
I don't think so.
He's one of the OG YouTubers. He's been YouTubing like literally since the beginning. Very, very large following on YouTube. But he still to this day does everything himself. He does the video production himself. He does the editing. He does everything himself. But it's because he likes it. He enjoys it. He's like, why would I outsource something that I genuinely enjoy?
Well, that's true.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's Mr. Beast, who has a massive team, tons of people, massive production, outsources a ton of his projects. He's one of the biggest YouTubers there is on the planet, but he's happy doing that, right? So I think there's always degrees. I always think about the stuff that I have to do as well, whether it's like editing a podcast like this. It's like, well, I like it, so why would I give it to somebody else, right? Maybe you can make more money, whatever, that's cool. But I think that's also something that's worth considering is like, what do you like doing? I'm
definitely learning to delegate. I can learn how to do things, understand something, but with these things, I'm learning more and more as I get to enjoy and find and get nitty gritty with what I like doing. Yeah, I'm happy to delegate. I'm going to be slow to hire as far as a W-2, and even slower to partner. Right? It would be like I said, collaboration sounds like a good idea. Let's start there. Let's date before we get married. Right?
Smart.
You know, unless I was just like, I mean, like that love at first sight kind of thing. We're like, hey, what a great, and you just feel that energy. Fantastic.
Sure.
Great. I'm not close, but.
What would you consider your strengths are? You mentioned that earlier of like figuring out what your strengths are and trying to outsource what you're not good at.
What I'm not good at so I had to really be honest with myself and realize I'm not that great with the business side of it. I'm really not. I'm not great with the marketing. I need help. So I spread myself too thin, try to do too many things. My strength is getting under the hood with a person and figuring out what's the kink is in the army, or what's in the armor, or what's their blind spot, and how do we improve that? Because that's where I'm the most curious. I have a lot of personal experience with that, just in my own life. But I mean, that's where I have the natural curiosity to dig in and realize I don't need to be good at all this stuff. That's going to drag me back. So it's like I am really digging into like outsourcing more, and not that I wouldn't take on a full-time videographer right now. I just need part-time paint, whatever. Or funnels guy, he's going to be independent. I don't necessarily need to bring in an in-house funnels guy. I can hire someone, and keep things simple until it needs to go that way. I don't think to me that feels more natural. I think it's because that keeps those people independent.
Totally.
And they're self-motivated, and I'm like, oh, that's how I am.
Totally.
Whereas, not that there's not ever room for an employee. If I have to scale, I'm sure I'm going to have to do that. But it's not something I'm in a hurry to do. And I connect better with people who are self-driven. If they're self-employed and I'm self-employed and I hire them for their services because they're good at it, they're highly motivated, I consider that a win.
Totally. I think curiosity is the word that I most like that I pulled out of that about what you're talking about. Is I had a friend who recently hired or had a position to hire somebody for email marketing. And during the interview, they were asking him, like, what do you love to do? Like, what are you super passionate about doing? Or what are you curious about?
Mm-hmm.
And their answer to the question was social media. And they're like, well, then why are you applying for an email marketing role if you love this other thing, right? And I think we so vastly underestimate like how important it is to just be curious about a topic.
Yeah.
Because it self-motivates you to continue to pursue it and actually care about it and to be good at it.
Right.
Which is like obviously why I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming there's a lot of success from you just being curious about helping people find their blind spots and their kinks.
Yeah.
And continuing to do that with people allows you to focus on like, how do I help this person? And then all the other stuff you can kind of set to the side, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I need to be good at everything.
Yeah.
And my wife's
And you
really
shouldn't
good at
be,
remembering
really.
it.
Like,
no, it slows you down.
Totally.
It slows you down. So I still, I always think there's room to improve, and there is. So that one of my flaws is like, well, I'll be ready when this, and I've done that for years. And I collaborated with another guy in the wellness or diet space on a book, and that was kind of like a partnership for that project, and that was great. It's opened other doors, but and at some point I'm sure scaling my coaching business and bringing on coaches who I really like and teaching them and overseeing, and that's certainly in the works. I think at some point it would happen, but I really like where I'm going now, where I'm not trying to do something like everybody else is doing. I'm going to really keep going after my 1%ers.
Totally.
And build that brand around that. It's just more natural to me. I spent too long trying to do things the way other people were doing it, or being in a space that I really wasn't passionate about because it wasn't reflective of me. And so now my avatar is much more like me. And so I've kind of had a pivot over the last year toward a client avatar that is like me in a different career. And I don't mean on the level of where are their interests, where are their priorities, on what level they want to be, and how they've been taking care of their health to this point. And so really get out of the diet wars, move away from, not that I wouldn't help someone with weight loss, but it's get out of the weight loss marketing or message, and let's get into let's get under the hood. Let's fine tune this human.
Totally.
And because that's what I want to do with me. And so it's much more authentic. And if that means, it's just solo me for a while, that's fine. And it's hard to pass on that kind of experience to someone and trust them with a client. Like that'll be my next hurdle. Will be like, I'm going to trust this client with this person, and I'm not sure if they can. That's going to be a hurdle.
And maybe just to brainstorm with you for 2 seconds is maybe it's worth considering too of taking that same approach as if you bring somebody on is so somebody who does marketing for a living, advice I often give is you're best positioned to serve the person you once were. And so it's like you're obviously serving people like you or like maybe behind you that want to be similar to what you're doing now today. And you could equally take that same approach of like, maybe this new person that you were to bring into the business doesn't necessarily take on the clients that you take on, but they have somebody that they would be in line with that is their previous self, right? And continue to push the mission of where you're going, but a different subset of clientele.
Like, as an example, take on a female trainer who was trying and move a lot of the women. They might be more comfortable speaking to them about hormones 100%. And all the things that go, and all that. They might be more comfortable with that person. So that would be an ideal. I mean, that's I've thought of that as well. Like, yes, and then it's like, oh, this is an easier client here. Start here, and then feedback and build. And no, there's a way there. But I.
What are you afraid of?
Oh gosh.
There's obviously some fear, right? And I have the same thing, and I'm more probably talking to myself than I am you. Is like, I don't know, control issues and fear of success, fear of failure. I don't know.
Probably a little bit all of those. Yeah. Control issues, fear of success, fear of failure.
For sure.
I'm getting over the fear of success. Actually, thank goodness. My wife's been like kicking that out of me for a bit. And we're not, I wouldn't say we're competitive, but we definitely like drive each other and have feedback and kind of like continue to there's enough friction there to keep driving us forward in that area where we might start to pair up. Like my next partnership, the person I'm on camera with on a regular basis over the next year might be her. And pairing our
Is she in the business with you at all right now?
No.
No, okay.
No. We've kept things separate for a good reason. We've tried that a couple times. It's like,
clash.
no. There's enough to raise a family. We raised 4 kids. We got one still home, the other 3 in their 20s. So things have changed. We're a little, so we have less of that pressure. But she's really coming into more of a wellness space. She has her own clients, her own strengths, her own things that she would speak to. And I would have the things I speak to. So there's that complementary thing. But together, we could speak to the same age group, right? And she would probably speak more, women, men. But it would be a good pairing at this point. I think it's possible. She's in aesthetics. She's a nurse injector. To speak to her drive, like this is something she wanted to do for about 5 years or so. And she's like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So she went back to school, nursing school at 50 years old. And that was not easy. I knew her in college. She was a terrible student. Absolutely awful. I looked at her transcripts when she ordered to go, and I was like, what were you? I mean, I knew her, but I didn't look at her transcripts then. That's not where my interest was. But it was like, what were you thinking? We were all over the map. You're a terrible student. Did you even go to class? I mean, it was awful. She got into nursing school. She has a focus. She has a drive. She wants to do this. And she's like, barely got B's. She was like A's, occasionally a B. 3 out of her original cohort of 30 made it all the way through without failing a class. And so it was the drive, the motivation. It's like, go back to school, get this. And now she's like, she spent about 6 months working for someone. And now 6 months in, she's paying rent. She's driving her own business. She's buying her supplies. So there's very much that drive there between the two of us. And I think we're at a point now where we could come together and speak to the aesthetics, the wellness issues. You can do the NAD, some peptides, some hormone therapy, and we can bring that in to speak to our age group.
Yeah, that's a good
who
overlap.
wants kind of like, neck up, neck down, like kind of like how do we blend aesthetics, wellness, fitness into, that person who's, again, career-minded, driving forward, wants to look good, feel good, be healthy, keep, I think we have the makings of a good little, at least to drive traffic somewhere, right? To our individual businesses and individual clients, but we're not stepping on each other's toes because we're not in each other's businesses.
Yeah. There's that pesky curiosity thing again. Actually, Stephen Kotler wrote a book not that long ago. I don't know if you know who that is, but he talks a lot about flow states. And he was talking about there's 3 pillars to motivation, as he talks about. One of them is curiosity. The second one is passion, and the third one is purpose. And like ideally, you could have
check.
Yeah. Ideally, if you had a combination of all those, it's like the ultimate thing to move you forward.
Yeah.
But even if you even at the base level, if like someone's listening and it's like, even if there's just like a bit of curiosity, I'm sure you experience this with your own like fitness career. Is like it starts as a curiosity at the end of the day, and it grows into those other things as you get better at it. But like those are like always the ultimate motivators at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think I finally got to the point where I've got all three. Like I wouldn't go anywhere else at this point. You couldn't talk me into anything else.
Totally.
Because nothing. I mean, not because I didn't think I could learn it, but because I don't want to do anything else at this point. And I can't say I felt that way 15 years ago.
No, yeah.
You know, but now I'm like, this is fun. And I can't imagine doing anything else or anything more important to me, not because I want to help a few 1%ers get, it's just reflective of where my personal interest is. And it's just more authentic. And that's why it's driving me. And then I get to come to these conferences and meet with other, like, I don't feel so weird. I mean, with other like-minded people who are doing their own weird things, and we talk about weird things, but there's the value system, the foundation is already set. Whereas I'm even among my peers, some of them in Nashville, like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Why do you feel, why are you doing? And so it's not like everyone in fitness has the same viewpoint. But when you can get around other people who value that level of health and are tinkering and all these metrics, and the conversation is elevated to a new level right away, and there's not a debate, there's sharing. There's conversations that mean something because you want to learn, and what do you do for sleep? What are you doing about this? What do you think about, hey, did you try this? And it's like this, it's just beautiful.
Totally agree.
And it feeds you, and you're just like, oh, I can't wait to keep going back for more. It's so much fun to network with those people, all of us with different strengths, different areas that we're pursuing, and it's just sharing. That also makes it fun, because I get to go be around other weirdos.
I like that you say that, because I actually literally just yesterday had a conversation with my girlfriend about this. I'm a pretty inquisitive guy, and I was asking her, and I already knew it was a tough question. And I asked my girlfriend straight up, I was like, what do you want people to say about you when you die? And I was like, I recognize that as a tough question. And so like I gave her time to think about it, and we were talking about it back and forth. And she shared her answer, and then I shared mine. And ultimately what I realized is that I hope that people just say that I was authentically me. And a good example of this is we recently went out to Florida, and I went on a run on the beach, and I was like the only one in Pensacola, Florida, running on the beach, and there were thousands and thousands of people, and I was the weird guy going on a run on the beach. But it was like, but it makes me happy. And so if I'm the weird guy running on the beach, but this makes me happy, who cares? Like,
absolutely.
Like,
dude,
okay,
if you aren't weird now,
yeah, with
the state of health in terms of your health, I mean,
yeah,
it's time to check yourself, because the population is not really motivated to pay attention to that. And so you can't be in the health space without being a little bit weird now, I think, or you're slipping
the health freak
backwards.
Yeah.
Right. And I've always been a bit of a health freak. I think I was talking about low carb in 2002. I started intermittent fasting in 2010. I mean,
love that.
I was always tinkering a bit, and so that's why, it's like, what makes you unique? Where's your niche? What makes you weird is a really good question for anybody starting a business. What makes you weird? Because that's find more weirdos like you, and those are your people.
Totally agree. Totally 1,000% agree. I do want to respect everyone's time at this conference,
sure.
And I do a round of I do a round of rapid fire questions here.
Okay.
Whoops. So it's whatever the first thing is that comes to mind.
Oh, look out.
What's your best business advice?
Know who you serve. Know your avatar.
Great advice. What's your favorite part about entrepreneurship?
Just owning my time and owning and knowing that I'm the one creating my ceiling.
Totally agree. What's your best marketing advice?
Be authentic.
When are you the most productive?
In the morning.
Who is your inspiration?
My family.
Tell me one secret or something most people don't know about you.
Oh, jeez. A secret? Then it's not a secret anymore.
I know, that's why we're talking about it.
Like, just related to business, or anything, just like secret?
Anything. Like, so, I don't know, I guess some examples are like people had like they were on like a famous television show or something, or like
ran with the Bulls twice.
In America, or Italy, or where?
No, Pamplona.
Awesome.
Spain. Yeah.
You didn't get smacked by a bull or nothing?
No, but they were scary, and they were close enough. Like, they ran around in a ring, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm jumping through. And then I slept on the grass that night, which was kind of a crazy, weird party thing they have going on, because all the hotels are full, and so you just kind of find a jug of wine, sleep on the grass, stay warm, and get up and did it the next morning again. It was crazy.
How old were you?
Oh, I was young. I was like 23 or something like that.
Okay.
That's one of the modeling days. So I was just like, hey, we're in Madrid. Let's head down to Pamplona and run the bulls. Great idea. So
That's a great story.
Yeah.
What would you change about yourself?
Oh boy! Now I wish I'd figured some of this out sooner. I wish I'd been more embracing of of who I am, how I want to serve people, and being authentic sooner. I stayed too long in a fun or in a vertical, excuse me, that I really didn't belong in, because I didn't think I could scale in what I really wanted to do. So that I would definitely say I should have moved sooner.
I can't think of the book off the top of my head, but there's a book that basically talks about the 10 biggest regrets that people have, and they interviewed a whole bunch of people that were on towards the end of their life. And one of those things on that list is that they didn't live true to themselves. And so I think a lot of people can take advice from that one.
Yeah.
What's your favorite app or resource right now?
Resource. Audible. Honestly.
Really?
Audible. Yeah, I'm a book. I mean, because I don't have time to sit and read them in my car. I don't go see clients or whatever. So or whatever I'm doing, I'm learning. I'm listening to books almost all the time. Maybe I have three going at the same time sometimes. And
What do you got right now? What book?
I just finished Ormozzi's
Which one?
the $100 million offers.
Okay.
And
It's the marketing one too.
Yeah, marketing one too. I finished that one, and then what am I don't know if I'm right. I think I just finished that one, and so I don't know what I have. Honestly, I can't tell you what I have queued up right now.
I'm telling you, put Will Smith's book on that list. No lie.
Will Smith book? Okay.
Yeah, it's a great book. He did it. He co-wrote. I don't even say co-wrote. Mark Manson. Do you know who that is? He wrote the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Do you know
Yes. Oh yeah. My wife's got it on her thing. Yeah.
So Mark Manson helped him write the book.
Oh, cool.
So I guess it helps. I'm sure it helps. But it was yeah.
Yeah, I've written a book. It's like whatever help you can get.
Yeah. But yeah, I was shocked. I mean, whether you like Will Smith or not, either way, it's an incredibly compelling story. And there was a lot of moments where it was just profound. It was some of the things he learned about life and happiness in general. From somebody who's technically had it all, fame, success, wife, family, whatever, all the things.
Yeah.
And took him a long time to actually figure out how to be happy though, which is interesting. Are you running away from something or running towards something?
Oh, toward.
What is that you're running towards?
More of doing more of what I'm really wired to do, what I want to do. I'm running headlong into it.
Love it. What's your favorite part about Austin? And you can't say the people.
I can't say the community.
Nope, because that's what everybody says. So I didn't.
Well, yeah, but it's the best part of Austin.
That's why you can't say it. You got to pick a different one.
Oh, come on.
It's too easy. It's a cop out for everybody. Everyone's like the people. It's I know people here are cool. I got it.
I mean, I think it's the whole vibe. It's the whole health centric focus of Austin. I mean, it's the whole that is Austin, is the people. What else is a city other than its people? I would argue. Okay, barbecue? Come on, that's not an answer. It's the best barbecue I've ever had, but it's not an answer. The weather? Sometimes. So, I mean, come on. It's certainly not the quality of the roads.
No.
So, I think it's the value. How about the value? The values of the community where they're all coming together. That's what draws me back here every time. And I'm looking for reasons to come to Austin because of the people. And I'm pushing back on you because I'm saying, what else is a city other than its people?
I don't know. Running trails, rivers, skyscrapers.
I haven't even experienced all that yet. I'm coming here for conferences.
Food.
All I'm getting is people.
Tacos,
I'm gonna experience Barton Springs at some point.
You haven't? Okay.
I haven't even. That's what I'm telling you. It's just
right.
been the people for me. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. It's just that's why this is probably episode, I don't know, close to 160, 70, something like that. And I always interview people in Austin. And so the first 50 people that I did, it was the people, the community. And I was like, all right, we can't.
That's why they moved here.
I know, and I get that. But it was this is watering down my question because it's always the same answer.
I think it resonates the draw of Austin.
For sure.
It's like, oh, the tech community.
Yeah.
Community is still people.
Yeah.
The tech business world, no. The music scene, maybe.
There's great music.
Music scene, but that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the health community, the values that people come in, I can get in a conversation, I can talk to somebody, I know where they're coming from. The conversation is elevated immediately, like I just mentioned, because we're all a bunch of keep Austin weird. That's about its people. It's that come and have some conversations with weirdos. You're like you.
Thank you. I appreciate
like-minded weirdos.
Likewise. I was going to ask, actually, real quick. I forgot to ask you, why did you move to Nashville? You're originally from California. And moved
Yeah, I
to
was
Nashville.
Central California. Grew up. I was in San Diego right before I came here. It was fitness capital, but I wanted to go somewhere I could make a living and still hang on to it. And it was like, and I wasn't going in fitness, so it's like, I had a buddy out there I know in college who's in the music business. He was a session singer. He said, "Come on out, check out Nashville. Just stay with me. You can just stay for a week or two, whatever it is." And I'm like, "Why would I go to Nashville? I'm not music." And I went out there to visit, and I just immediately felt there's this entrepreneurial spirit there that was like everybody's hustling, not everybody, but they're doing their things. Now this was 97, so before it had its boom, right? But it was still very. I mean, you could connect with people. You still network very easily, and it had this feel. And I think to this day, it's GDP of that city is still like maybe 10% higher in terms of entrepreneurial, like businesses that stemmed from Nashville. I think it's 10% higher than the national average. So it's still a very entrepreneurial city, hustle. It's becoming more and more corporate as people are moving in.
Totally.
And you've experienced that in Austin, I'm sure.
Makes sense.
But it was that. It was like, oh, these people are hustling, and they respect that. And then people were very friendly, much more friendly than California. It's a little slower. The food wasn't great, especially from a health guy. But I just felt that like I can make a living out here, enjoy it, and hang on to it, unlike California.
Yeah, you get hammered for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I have one last question. Before I ask that question, though, I want to acknowledge you, man, for really riding out the fitness industry as long as you have. A quote that really resonates that I think is great with what you've been doing is that you can't lose if you don't quit. And you've decided to ride it out for a very long time, and obviously helped a lot of people through the book and the podcast show and the training and the coaching and everything you're doing. So
thank you.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Some of it was a work of passion.
Yeah,
it wasn't always profitable.
For sure. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Last question. It's really whatever your best piece of advice is. So if you were to literally go back to ground zero as being a fitness coach, trainer, and you were talking to your younger self or somebody else in that same scenario that wanted to get into the industry, what would you tell them?
Besides, don't. If this is absolutely the only thing you can possibly do, then no, I don't say that. But it's, I'd say it's, well, I just mentioned my regret. It goes back to that. It's like, figure out what your niche is, who you are. That's your client in just a different career. And that's who you want to help. Be authentic. Stop trying to talk to somebody who you aren't, who isn't your ideal client, or who you're trying to be somebody else, and be as authentic as possible, and the doors will open and you will attract your client. Not that you don't have to do marketing, not that you don't have to spend money to get your voice out there, but when they hear it, that's your algorithm, is your voice being yourself, speaking to yourself out there that needs your help. That's your algorithm. So that's what I would say.
Great advice. Thanks for being on the show, brother.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks.
Yeah.